Let's talk to Andrew Montford, Deputy Director of Net Zero Watch, good friend of ours, a good friend of the show's. Ed Miliband has been out and about this morning talking about wind turbines, talking about the future, talking about net zero. Not very convincingly, I'm afraid. And he's also been quizzed, Andrew, very good morning to you.
Morning.
By some people who don't work here, but could work here because they're challenging him, about the £300, the mysterious £300 that they promised us that we'd all be better off by if we voted Labour in. The £300, by the way, has disappeared into the ether, it seems to me. My bill has gone up by about £100. Most people's bills have gone up, and they're going to go up again.
Absolutely. This is quite interesting. Mr. Miliband has announced two big things that he's going to do. One is he's going to make it much easier to build wind turbines. So essentially he's going to trash the countryside big time. And he's also said he's going to unleash 40 billion per year of private sector investment in green kit. Now, if you work out what that means, by 2030, it's going to be costing households £300 extra each just to cover the cost of the investment. So the £300 saving essentially has become a £300 increase in the cost of living. It's absolutely bonkers. This man is dangerous. He's out of control. Something has to be done about him. I mean, Starmer needs to get rid of him because he is a national liability.
He really is. He's also a liar, and I don't shrink from saying that because he's told lies. Let's have a look at the sequence of events. This is May 2024, so May of this year, just a few months ago, Keir Starmer, before the election, promising to bring down bills. Have a look.
Now, Clean British Power is, renewables, which is about a third of the price of fossil fuels at the moment, and that ought to bring down the household bills by about £400 for each bill. But that's a permanent drop. This is the big difference, I think.
That's a permanent drop. That's the big difference, I think. A permanent drop. Let's see Miliband this morning saying the complete opposite of that.
You pledged during the election campaign that every household's energy bill, or the average household energy bill, I should say, would be lower by about £300 by 2030. Is that still happening with all your plans?
This was based on independent modelling, yes, up to £300. That's what we said. And here's the thing: we now have the
sorry, Ed Miliband, apologies.
System.
Apologies. You said up to £300. That could be £1. Is it £300 or not?
No, it's not going to be £1. Look, this was based on independent modelling, which is what we used in the election, that said that bills would be up to £300 lower in a clean power system. And what I was going to say, Naga, this is really, really important, is we now have the National Energy System Operator, the independent body that has looked at these plans and says it's achievable, which is really important. It gives us energy security, it will lower the cost of electricity, and it can lead to lower bills.
He's just talking absolute cobblers, right? Because he's been saying that the national body, which is called the National Energy System Operator, NESO, are the people that he's learning it from the modelling. Let's have a look what they have to say.
If she reads the NESO report, which is the advice given to us from the independent body, they show that this will lead to lower electricity bills.
Do you think that the NESO report is conclusive proof that Clean Power 2030 will bring down bills?
What we did not set out to do, and what is not our role, is to determine what bills are for consumers. That's a matter of policy.
So it's nothing to do with NESO, how much it costs, right? So that's lie after lie after lie after lie. Keir Starmer says 400 quid you're going to save. Miliband says 300 quid. Then it goes to up to 300 quid. And then it goes to NESO, who say, actually, no, it's nothing to do with us. It's probably not going to be anything.
Yeah, everything coming out of the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero should be treated as lies until proven otherwise. This is something I spend a lot of time working on. The amount of disinformation coming from, not just from ministers, but from officials as well, is absolutely extraordinary. And I think when we come to look at the net zero disaster in a few years' time, and it is going to be a disaster, fingers are going to be pointed at the permanent secretary at Desnz, as well as people like Ed Miliband, and people are going to ask, how were they allowed to get away with the lies for so long?
Yeah, it really is quite extraordinary how they're allowed to get away with it. I mean, Naga Munchetti there, thank goodness, actually did quiz Ed Miliband, but it's not something they normally do. You know, maybe the media are finally learning to actually ask questions as opposed to just nodding through. Oh, at least you're not the Tories. Everything's great. You must be really, really honourable people, and you must not be in any way hypocrites, and you must obviously be believed in everything you say, because people are starting to get wise now. You know, bills are going up. My bill's gone up, I think, twice already. I got another letter from my, you know, energy supplier to say, you know, your prices are going to change. They're going to go up again in January. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and they're going to go up again in April, Mike. There's been analysts have been putting out predictions for April, and they're saying it's going up again, and it will keep going up. As I said, it looks like we're going to be up maybe £300 to £400 per household in terms of the cost of living by 2030. Yeah. It's not going away. Miliband's claims about bills coming down by 300 were exposed within days.
Yes.
As being complete fictions. So, you know, it's just not happening. Bills are going up, the cost of living's going up, and we can point the finger at Mr. Miliband and say, you did it.
Exactly right. And so the dream, supposed dream of net zero and the whole idea of renewables, I mean, once again exposed this week by the fact that we're taking in to the national grid something like 87% of our supplies of energy from gas, which is maybe home generated, I don't know. But, you know, more and more and more we see the figures of renewable energy, solar panels, wind turbines, producing literally bugger all for the national grid.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this is the second Dunkelflaute, which is a wonderful word, meaning we get no wind and no solar generation at all, pretty much. And yeah, as Richard Tice was saying a little earlier, this has meant that the market prices for electricity have gone through the absolute roof. And they've gone through the absolute roof across Europe because everybody is suffering because there's too much wind and solar power on the grids already. What people have to recognise is that if we ever want cheap electricity again, we need to close down the wind and solar. There is no other way. So far from expanding wind and solar generation, as Mr. Miliband seems to want to do, we need to be reducing it and closing it down. That is the only way to get back to cheap electricity. So we need to cancel the next subsidy auction, not expand it. I mean, he is utterly mad.
He is, and I'm glad you're saying it, because I've been saying it for a while. He's mad and not to be believed, and he's a liar as well. And I hope he challenges me on that. I'd love to have him come on the show and prove that he's not a liar, because he keeps saying things that aren't true. To me, that's the definition of a liar. Andrew Montford, thank you very much indeed, Deputy Director of Net Zero Watch. Let's